Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. We have our regular council meeting, September 4th, 2018. Can we get roll call, please?
Mayor Didball?
Here.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Here.
Councilmember Buckland?
Here.
Councilmember Cardoza?
Here.
Councilmember Cleveland?
Here.
Thank you. We're going to have Councilmember Buckland is going to lead us in the invocation, and after the invocation, we will have our Eagle Scouts all together do our Pledge of Allegiance tonight. Okay. I know.
It's always a good way to start off the invocation is with getting toned out, I suppose. Will you bow your heads as I pray? Almighty Father, first let me say thank you on behalf of those that are gathered here tonight. We're truly blessed by your presence. We ask for guidance and a clear vision so the efforts of staff and council will be of benefit to those that live and work in our community. We're always grateful for all of the volunteers, and especially Boy Scouts and those that have worked towards Eagle Scout in preparing community projects that help better our community. We are just blessed with their presence tonight. It's in your most blessed name that I pray. Amen.
Salute. Pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Guess you guys can decide who's going to lead, right? Thank you very much for doing that. So we are going to actually start with presentations and proclamations first, and we are going to have a presentation by the Eagle Scouts, Troop 6. Do you going to go up to the podium? On for you.
We have a few scouts that can't be here tonight because they have jobs, and I will help talk about their projects. I'm the Scoutmaster for Troop 6. I just want to tell you just briefly about these young men. So we just had an Eagle ceremony last Sunday. We had 9 Eagles in our troop. Out of that 9 Eagles, we had 3,200 hours of community service that we've done for the city. Through many nonprofits. So we're very proud of these gentlemen, and we're very thankful that the community supports us. So with that, I'll let them start. Go ahead and click to the first one. Next
one. So this is my project right here. I worked at St. Isidore's, the school which I'm an alumni of, and I asked the principal there, Mrs. Berkey, if she would have any work for me to do. And she answered, and she had received this slightly out of service fire truck toy you can see here. And our job was to refurbish it and make it usable for the kindergartners the upcoming school year. So that's what we did. We sanded it, we painted it, and we excavated an area for us to plant it in. And so we did concrete work, we were using big power tools. And with these scouts beside me here, I was able to accomplish it in 330 hours in 3 weeks. Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, my name is David Geithner, and I got my Eagle Scout in June. My Eagle project was at Joyful Noise Daycare. It's a nonprofit, and we built a new play area for all the kids. They call it the Mud Kitchen, and we also refurbished their entire sandbox and re-roofed the overhang. It was accomplished over 3 weeks and 287 hours.
Nice.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nolan Goebel, and my project was at the Museum of Forgotten Warriors. I approached the museum asking for what they wanted me to do, and they were like, "Oh, we can do this and we can do that." And I'm like, "How about I do a above-ground trench as a museum exhibit that people can climb into and explore about World War I and learn about the time period?" And I made this base out of steel, which you can see me welding on the left, and we were teaching scouts how to operate hammers, chisels, and other power tools. on the right, and the finished project's in the middle. So you can check it out at the museum. Thank you.
Alright, so I'm Connor Green, and my Eagle project was we repaired, repainted, and resanded all the old and currently existing benches at Greenwood Park. And we also installed 3 new benches, which we laid concrete pads to bolt them down onto. And then we, yeah.
So Mason has a work tonight, but Mason's project was to actually create some new benches for Sutter High School for their soccer team, as well as their movable benches, so they can use for many different aspects within at the university. Excuse me, at the high school.
I'm Kellen Tretna, and I also did my Eagle Scout project at Joyful Illinois School, and I was the first one to do it, so I pushed them all. I like to say that. And I built 2 tables and 4 benches for the kids, and they're pretty small, so the kids are on them, and they weigh a lot, so the kids can't push them over. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Daniel Wankmuller. I got my Eagle in December 2017. And I did my Eagle project at Calvary Christian Center, Marysville. And I actually got the idea from Mr. Cooper, Kevin Cooper. And we built the storage shelves for a clothes pantry. And it took 265 hours to complete.
Hello, my name is Jacob Wary, and I went to St. Isidore's, my preschool through middle school. And so I went there and I was like, what can I do? And I made a memorial for Edna Rinzulo, and it's a rosary garden. So it took over 300 hours to make, and without the help of my fellow scouts, I couldn't have accomplished it. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Don't take seats yet. Go ahead and come on up here. Along with a little goodie bag from Yuba City. So we got Connor. Gabriel. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much for your service. We appreciate it. Let's see. It looks like our second. Okay, our second presentation or proclamation would be for the Hmong history, but Doesn't look like they're here yet. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next one, and we'd like to honor our personnel, our firefighters who participated and helped out and supported all of those out during the car fire. So for each one of you, if you'll come up. Firefighter Davis Gray. Firefighter Director or Derek Sweet, and Captain Eric Hankins. So we also have from the Animal Control, Marissa. There you are. And this is Marissa Terry. So the car fire began on July 23rd, 2018 and grew from 40,000 to 80,000 in 24 hours, which is equal to 28 acres per minute, or about a football field every 3 seconds. The fire created its own weather system, erratic gusty winds, and fire noise. The fire burned approximately 230,000 acres. Yuba City Fire Chief Pete Daly was the strike team leader for the team composed of 5 OES Type 1 engines from Yuba City Fire, Linda Fire Protection District, Willows Fire, Quincy Fire, and Peninsula Fire. The strike team from Yuba City included all of the members I just read. The strikes team was actually involved in the firefight to save homes and structures. The Animal Control, Marissa Terry, assisted in the Reading Sheriff Department in locating stray and injured animals affected by the car fire. She went to residents' homes and fed and give water to the pets that the residents had been evacuated and could not get back to their homes to get their pets before fleeing. Now, thereby, be it resolved that I, Preet Didball, Mayor of City of Yuba City, on behalf of our entire City Council, hereby commend the Yuba City firefighters and the Animal Control Officer for their bravery, support, and outstanding dedication to assist the fight against car fire and assist the citizens and animals affected by the fire. I sincerely urge all residents of Yuba City to join in recognizing these fine Yuba City personnel for all of their hard work and efforts battling the car fire, the 6th most destructive fire in California history, done today on the 4th of September, 2018. Thank you so very much. Yes.
Come on in, John.
Oh, do you?
Well, we might be done by then. You guys can have the See you, Pam.
Go ahead, here.
Huh? Oh, that he can. Oh.
I said you didn't have a clue about what who she was in the beginning. You're like, no idea. High school?
All right, it looks like the chambers have cleared out. Hi. So, so we're going to go back. We'd like to go ahead and honor Hmong History Month with Brigadier General John Tao. Yes. Sorry, and its allies during the Vietnam War. The warriors' tradition of loyalty and bravery embodied by the members of the Hmong Hill tribe led them to fight beside the United States Air Force, guarding the personnel and radar installations, gathering critical intelligence on enemy movement and operations, performing rescue missions to save downed pilots. In addition to the devastation to their homes and the way of life, thousands of Hmong soldiers and their families became countryless people when they began their perilous flight to seek, safe refuge in other countries such as Australia, Canada, China, New Zealand, and the United States. Now thereby be it resolved that I, Preet Deadball, Mayor of City of Yuba City, and on behalf of the entire City Council, proclaim September 2018 as Hmong History Month and ask all residents of Yuba City to join me in honoring the Hmong men and women who served the United States with loyalty and bravery, and celebrate and contributions the Hmong people make in our communities. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
I just want to thank all the official and his mayor and your colleague and the rest of the Yuba City's U.S. Center area for your guys' continuation support of Hmong History Month. It's not just about the Hmong History Month alone, but it's about the Hmong community or diversity community of the United States of America. Like I said, we're running late. Sorry for the lateness. We're just come from burial for one of the veterans passed away. These past few months, we've been slammed with the burial due to, I guess it's sad too, but another great thing is President Trump signed the bill for national burial. Yeah, so just got real busy with that, and National Cemetery Dixon decided to throw it back on us. So we're happy that we're more than welcome to help them. That we're pretty new to this and short in budget, so we just do as much as we can. And like I say, it's all about cultural diversity, working together and keeping the state of America safe and keeping the men and women, keep everyone safe in their community, so we can sleep at night and those who work at days just like you guys still work in the evening. So thank you all.
I say thank you, everybody, to come home.
All right. So now we will move on to item 4, which is our public hearing. It's proposed 2017-2018 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, the CAPER, for the Community Development Block Grant, GDBG program. Got Mr. Rodriguez.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Council. Ronaldo Rodriguez, Development Services Department. Just for the benefit of the community and the City Council this evening, you may recall that city staff typically comes to the council about 3 times a year to discuss the Community Block Development Grant Program. This evening, we're going to be presenting the CAPER, which, as the mayor indicated, it's a consolidated annual performance and evaluation report, which discusses the activities that took place during last fiscal year. So around September, the first meeting of September, city staff is discussing what the funds were used for the previous year. In April of every year, we typically come before the city council to discuss what the city's planning on doing for the upcoming fiscal year. And March, we typically come to get some feedback and insight from the council and the community and the mayor to talk about what target programs the city should be focused on prior to coming in May. So again, so this is a recap of what the city expended its funds on for last fiscal year. So just again, for the benefit of the council, Yuba City is an entitlement community, which is based on our population and our demographics. So the last fiscal year, the city received approximately $586,000. In the fiscal year that we're in today, for example, we actually experienced an increase in dollars, which is excellent for our community. Well, it's excellent that we received additional funds, but it's also negative because it simply implies that we have additional needs. So the slide on the overhead simply describes roughly the dollar amounts in terms of what those services were spent on. So public services, roughly $88,000, which is the maximum that can be provided for public services per the HUD guidelines. So the most that can be spent on that is 15%. The city has historically allocated the full 15% for public services. Those funds historically have gone to programs in different nonprofit organizations that assist people experiencing temporary homelessness. Then we allocated roughly $381,000 for housing programs and public facilities, such as ADA improvements, and then the planning and the administration is roughly $117,000, which has a cap on it, by the way, of 20%. And those are HUD guidelines. So in terms of some of the programs last year, the Senior Handyman Program assisted 11 seniors, the Freed Program, which has a target population of disabled persons. That program assisted 19 individuals. Habitat for Humanity assisted 3 families with for the program when it comes to exterior home repair, and then they also assisted 3 low-income senior residents as well for some interior rehab. The Salvation Army assisted roughly 448 people. The Sutter Yuba Homeless Consortium assisted over 1,900 people, and what that's comprised of is several different nonprofit organizations. Historically, one of the things that the city would receive different requests from different organizations. So last year was our first year where we requested that they coordinate their efforts. And last year we had 2 applications, one by the CFC and the Salvation Army. This year, you may recall that all nonprofit organizations got together and filed one single application. So that obviously helps us. And at the same time, it encourages them to help coordinate their efforts because some of their target populations are quite comparable. So in terms of some of the improvements that we did, we had a couple of different ADA improvements for sidewalk improvements. So for ADA sidewalks at the intersection of roads, we erected a new park or a new play structure over at Southside Park with an estimated benefit of roughly 3,000 people. And we also, we had allocated funds to new roofs, both at Kingwood Commons, which was on Gray Street, and then 5 buildings over at Richland Housing, right along Garden Highway, and those have been completed. So this is an example of the play structure that was previously at Southside Park. This is a photo of the new play structure that was installed a couple of months ago. So in terms of public outreach to get to this point, guidelines do require that we publish this in the newspaper and that we have a public meeting to receive any comments that we haven't received on the CAPER. To date, we have not received a single comment from the community. So with that being said, we're going to be requesting that the council this evening accept the comments, which again, there are none, and that you approve the CAPER as prepared and authorize staff to submit it to HUD. So that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. I'll bring it back to council for any questions of staff at this time before I open it up to public. No? Okay. We'll Go ahead and at this time, public hearing is open for anyone in the, anyone? No? Okay, we'll bring it back. Public hearing is now closed. We'll bring it back for questions or concerns or motion by council.
Through the mayor.
Yes. Yeah, it's loud.
I'm just going to try to be careful so I don't blow the speakers up and cause all the commotion for. Thank you very much. Arnoldo, when you're talking about HUD, they put out with the new administration, the Trump administration, they really put out some new guidelines in how they would like to distribute or have communities distribute the money. Is that correct?
They have placed some guidelines out. They're very similar to what historically existed. There have been some minor tweaks, and then there's some words of encouragement that HUD personnel typically give us in terms of what they're looking for when we submit these reports, or also what we're going to fund. And
part of that, they really wanted to try to streamline some of the funding opportunities and put them into a consolidated package.
Do. Correct.
Okay. And so, oftentimes when we look at these funds, and especially when the community has some input and certainly council has input, there's administrative costs that go or that come out of these funds, correct?
Correct. So last year we allocated $117,000 for admin cost. That's both for personnel, for training purposes, for document retention, and then we also have a consultant that assists us with that process as well.
And through the programs, through the Homeless Consortium and Salvation Army, through those two programs, there's been nearly 2,000 folks that were either homeless or on the verge of homelessness that were assisted through this program. Am I correct?
I believe it's closer to roughly 2,300 folks when you combine the two programs, and those individuals receive some form of assistance, be it assistance in terms of trying to retain the home that we're in, or some kind of other program as stipulated as part of the HUD guidelines.
And just for the public's knowledge, is Yuba City, do we run a Health and Human Services division through Yuba City, or who handles that component within Sutter County?
That would be Sutter County Department of Behavioral Health, who's in charge of that program.
So the funding that was provided towards homelessness is a proactive approach by Yuba City to engage and assist in diffusing some of the homeless issues?
Yes, and the city's under no obligation to actually allocate those funds. However, the city's historically allocated the full permitted amount through HUD guidelines, which is 15% of our entire budget.
All right, thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments or motion?
I would move to approve the CAPER and authorize staff to submit the CAPER to the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, thank you. Next, we have a couple ordinances, the Yuba City Board and Commission Ordinance Amendments. We have Terrell.
So good evening, Mayor and Council. So I'm Terrell Locke. I'm the assistant to the city manager. Before you this evening are some amendments to our boards and commission ordinances. The city has 6 commissions, and the Planning Commission, the Economic Development Commission, Parks and Recreation Commission, Senior Commission, Youth Commission, and Personnel Board. So currently the Planning, Economic Development, and Parks and Recreation and Senior Commissions have anniversary dates, anniversary terms for all appointments as of December 31st. Recruitment for these positions are, for these expiring dates are usually conducted in October and November with appointment in December. The Personnel Board and Youth Commission have anniversary dates as of June 30th, which coincides with the school year, and that was the date that was originally set up with the Personnel Board. So the council screening committee made up of the mayor and vice mayor hold interviews, and the applicants and recommendations are made to the full council for appointment at the second meeting in December. So in 2016, the city council requested that candidates for the boards and commission appointments undergo a background investigation prior to appointment. This added a step for conducting that adds about 30 days to the appointment process. So which makes an appointment by the December 31st date kind of unlikely. So after discussion with staff, it was we are recommending that the anniversary dates for these current commissions be February 28th, which allows time for the background, and because of the holidays and things, we might be able to get more applications in. So we also have two other amendments to the ordinances that we're recommending. So the senior commission, we are having trouble getting applications there to fill the full 7-member commissions, and so we're recommending going down to 5, which is the same as most of the other commissions, and so it kind of makes it coinciding with that. And then also we're recommending that the youth commission, we're having a lot of applications for that, and we're recommending that it be so to ensure a cohesive and productive youth commission. It is recommended to have the dates or the ages moved from 14 to 19 instead of having middle school interacting with the seniors, because that's a big age spread. Mm-hmm. And so that's our recommendation. And so it's introducing an ordinance, amending the Planning Commission and waiving the first reading, the Economic Development Commission waiving the first meeting, the Parks and Recreation Commission waiving the first reading for changing their anniversary dates to February 28th. And if you do go with this, it would the current members would also be extended there, so their anniversary dates for this year would be extended out the couple months. And then also introduce an ordinance amending the Senior Commission to reduce the position members from 7 to 5, and introduce an ordinance amending the Youth Commission for age requirements from to high school age students, and waiving the first reading.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments for Terrell from council?
Through the mayor?
Yes.
Terrell, do we have any youth on the commission right now, 14, 15-year-olds on it right now?
Not currently, no.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And I'll make a comment on that. Going through the interview process for the last couple of years with youth commissioners, we always found that the ones that would come in at the younger age weren't really comprehending really why the commission is there in the first place. So we just felt that the age was just slightly too young for them to come in and really have a productive say. The other option also would be like a junior youth commission. But at this time, because that age group just doesn't mix well with the high school, and also the dependence of getting here, for the meetings and so forth as well, and the activities that they get involved in. There's a lot of dependence for them to get rides and so forth, and just having to, at that young age, be out and about for some of the events that are taking place in the evenings. So.
And also we had discussed some of the things about the younger kids being too intimidated by the older kids and not really fully participating, and it wouldn't make them successful.
Right, right. Any other comments? Motion?
Okay, through the mayor?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, staff's recommendation of A, B, C, D, and E.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Great, thank you. Okay, public communication. You are welcome and encouraged to participate in this meeting. Public comment is taken on items listed on the agenda when it's called. Public comment on items not listed on the agenda will be heard at this time. Comments on controversial items may be limited in large groups. I don't see any very large groups today. To select representatives to express opinions of the group.
This is a large group. Bigger if you get together.
Exactly, everybody move up. Do we have any written requests?
None received.
So, okay. And then appearance of interested citizens. Members of the public may address the city council on items of interest that are within the city's jurisdiction. Individuals addressing general comments are encouraged to limit their statements to 3 minutes. Anybody interested in speaking? Guess not. Okay. All right, so consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and can be enacted in one motion. There is no separate discussion on these items prior to the time that the council votes on the motion unless members of the city council, staff, or public request any particular item to be discussed or removed from the consent calendar for individual action. Do we have any or a motion?
Through the mayor, move to approve the consent calendar.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Great. Next, we have the Yuba City Economic Development Commission and the Personnel Board Attendance Policy. We have Terrell again.
No.
You can, okay. Combined it all. Okay. And then we have the purchase of the Ford Explorers, and we have Spencer.
It's all on the consent calendar.
I'm down to 11. Presentation of the investment report. Oh, Spencer.
Good evening, Mayor Didball and members of the council. My name is Spencer Morrison. I'm the accounting manager and city treasurer. Tonight I bring before you the treasurer's quarterly investment report for the quarter ending June 30, 2018. The market value of the portfolio as of June 30 was $105.7 million, and $103.7 of that is city held, and the remainder is trustee held in the form of various bond issues. We had a $3.3 million net increase, or decrease rather, from last quarter, and the notable transactions were receiving property tax and other distributions, and payroll, of course, Fifth Street Bridge construction, and reimbursements, and the flood control agency continuing to improve the levies in the region. And then we had our second installment of sales tax, another installment of sales tax receipts as well. 11 investments matured or sold, and 15 were purchased. The average yield sold was 1.374%, and the average yield, you can see, is starting to climb to 2.878. We're actually seeing some of our higher rated bonds, our AAA rated, not bonds, but investments reaching that 3% yield mark for the first time probably since I've been standing up here presenting to you. And it's all because of my strongly worded letters and comments. This very dark pie chart does show the composition of the city-held portion of the funds, and about 103 million. You can see that roughly 44% of the portfolio was in bonds or similar instruments, and about 56% are non-bonds, which are the more cash-like instruments. Just about 50%, you can see this line right down the middle. Right down the middle, everything to the right of that line just happens to be pretty liquid, very cash-like investments. And I'll show you on the next slide. There's that 50% right there in the maturity distribution. This distribution reflects a conservative portfolio that favors anticipated increases in interest rates and modest economic growth in the coming quarters, as well as large construction-related cash flows, as I mentioned, with flood control. And then we've also got the Fifth Street Bridge projects, which are, of course, being built on a reimbursement basis through many grants, very large grants from the federal government. But we do have to put the cash out first, as we do with the flood control agency, and so we will continue to keep pretty liquid in our portfolio. And with that, I'll entertain any questions.
Great, thank you, Spencer. Any questions for Spencer? Nope. Okay.
Oh, no pastel colors. I try to stay actually with the
Light.
with the template colors that are provided to me, since so much work has gone into them by Darren Gale and much of the administrative staff.
All right. Well, that's our report for note and file, so no action taken there. Thank you, Spencer. All right. We have our city council reports. Councilmember Buckland.
Try to keep it very short. Attended the Sacramento Council of Governments, Government Relations and Public Affairs Committee meeting last Monday. And of note, we were looking at the bills and progression of bills through the state that were going to the governor's desk. And unfortunately, I believe that most of which we had opposition to, he is putting his signature on. So it'd be pointless to go through each one of those. And then attended the Sutter County Museum's release of the Sutter Buttes calendar. Very nice event. The pictures are spectacular, and just kind of keep that on your front burner because they take submissions from the public for those photos, and it was pretty remarkable, well attended. And then went to a chamber event over at Silvio's Pizzeria that was heavily attended, and I might point out that staff from Yuba City showed up a little late. That'd been Darren Gale, but most everybody had gone, so he did clean up over there that night, or that afternoon, I'm sorry. But it was well attended by a little over 80 people, so it was a good time, and I was there with the vice mayor. So
Great, thank you. And we got Councilmember Cardoza.
All righty. I attended a couple of meetings also. I attended the Planning Commission meeting. The topic was the El Margaret annexation. It was a pretty exciting evening that night. Right, Arnaldo? And then I also attended the Sutter Affordable Housing. We did some talks. Live Oak is expanding the third phase of their apartment, affordable housing complex apartment, which should be moving forward here in the next few months. For chamber events, we attended the Business Connection Breakfast. It was the state of the Yuba and Sutter County. We had a business after hours at the fairgrounds. They were having how the fair was this year and for stuff in the future. For city and community events, I attended the Yuba Sutter Veterans Stand Down there in Riverfront Park. I was there for the 2 out of the 3 day event. And we attended the Blues and Brews Barbecue by the Early Risers Kiwanis. I was out Friday night with our Yuba City Police Department and the sobriety checkpoint. It was nice and peaceful and quiet, and then I spoke, and next thing you know, we have 5 cars. So I got to be quiet next time. And then I went to a wonderful fundraiser here also on Friday. It was Emma and Hunter's Lemonade Stand. They had a lemonade stand. It was a fundraiser for the car victim fires. And Emma and Hunter are like 6 and 5 or 7 and 5. So it was a fun time. Had some expensive lemonade, but it was all worth it. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Cleveland.
Yes, attended the stand down at the riverfront. It's the second largest and most well attended in the state of California. The only one that beats it is down in LA. Our community really gets behind and our veterans and tries to make sure that they're not homeless and they get all the services they need. And then we try to bring them in to be vital people of our community and contribute. Business Connection Breakfast, as they said, it was the state of Yuba County and Sutter County. They had very different messages and approaches on how they delivered their message. Yuba County sounds like they're doing quite well, but I know that they've been working very hard at it. Let's see. I almost always attend the Yuba Sutter Farm Bureau because we are the hub for farming in this area, and I attend there and listen to all their concerns and stuff. And they have this little animal called the nutria, just a big, gigantic rat-looking things from South America, and they're showing up in California. And I think they're putting a bounty on them. So you see any large rodent with a really short tail that kind of looks like a gigantic, I don't know, guinea pig, you might want to make a report to the Farm Bureau and let them know along the levees, because they're very destructive to levees. Other than that, had a great Labor Day weekend. Sounds like we had a quite safe one around here, except a few incidences from the police. Other than that, it has been a great 2 weeks.
Great, thank you. We've got Vice Mayor Harris.
Yeah, I also attended several events that have already been mentioned. You would never pass up a chance to go to Silvio's Pizza, that's for sure. So that was quite enjoyable. The Stand Down, always a good event. Always proud to see folks from the community step up and support our veterans. A few of them came up to me and expressed their gratitude for that as well. And it seems like the number of services that we provide to those folks tends to grow every year, and that's obviously a very positive thing to see at work. Let's see here. Excuse me 1 second. Business Connection Breakfast out at Peachtree. Again, the state of Yuba County and Sutter County, was good to hear their different perspectives from those county administrators. They both seem to be doing a great job, doing the best they can with what they have to work with, and embracing the community and doing the best they possibly can. And I think it's some very positive messages came out of that. The Arts Board, Yuba City Arts Council, excuse me, very active. If you get the paper, get Prospect Magazine, or anything, they do such a great job, and the types of things they do is across the board, from tattoos to photography to acting to singing and everything else. And so we have a lot of projects in the works for that. One of the main things that Dave Reed over there is working on is a cultural plan, which puts together a lot of cultural resources. You all, of course, have somewhat of a connection to art of whatever nature, to where if we put that plan together, not only does it help us move forward as a community, but to having a plan in general makes us more marketable should we apply for any grants in the future. It's one of the criteria the folks that have the money look for, is rather than just throw the money at a city. If we have a plan in place, it helps us out. So that was the main thing. And of course, gearing up for the Beale Military Liaison Golf Tournament this Friday to help those folks out and continue to show Beale our support. So looking forward to playing at that and helping them out. So that's it for me.
Great, thank you. And then for my reports, some of the same items, but in addition to that, been working with the Sacramento Metro Chamber on the upcoming study mission. Also, we have next week, we'll be at the annual League of California Cities with some of the reports there. And in addition, along with the other events that were going on, we also had Dancing with Our Stars last week. Went there to support that group as well for helping out our local hospital. So aside from that, not anything else. All right, so that is our meeting for tonight.